morning, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome. And thank you. Thank you, especially for these wonderful 52 weeks. We did start a year back on the Mother's Day, but we took a little bit of gap in between. So today is the 52nd week. Um, Sometimes I wonder whether I have to say, who do I say thank you to? So that is why today, the team put up this beautiful poster. It's to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to the first person who logged in. Thank you to the first speaker who believed in us and came onto the platform. And so importantly for me, to thank the Square Panda team for this wonderful journey. It's been a very, very interesting journey. It's been a whole community to grow and just a beautiful journey. So today, if you'll all notice, is that I've changed my backdrop. So this is also an attempt for me to learn, for me to look at what new I can do. I am so used to hands-on resources, but the last few days, especially, when we were struggling for things, I felt that I should make an attempt to reduce even the resources that I use wherever possible. So this is one attempt to just create a little more responsibility towards the community, and to say that even though I reuse a lot of my resources, I just keep reusing them, but still, if the digital world can help me to minimize more resources and share them elsewhere, I think that's what we need to do. So, our story, and Pan is waiting with his little story for all of us. This story reflects a little bit of our journey and perhaps a little bit of what's to come. So thank you all. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for walking with us, giving us the confidence to go on and just keep sharing. So Pan is right here. Now today I'm going to have, because I move around so much, so this is going to be a new way for me too. So you all have to take a few errors as they come. So Pan is looking at the calendar and he's thinking happy thoughts. 52 weeks, he says, and so many ideas I have got. I have learned to value so many things. I have learned to thank life for what it brings. I have learned that I have to care, and when it's needed, I have to share. It's important. I also have looked all these days at home and looked at the things that my family does for me. It's important to be mindful, you see. I value and listen when people speak. To listen and learn is a special treat. I have learned that happiness is not just a smile. So happiness is not just a smile, but a happitude, building an happy attitude, and being grateful will make me walk an extra mile. So these are all the things that Pan has been learning and has been teaching me along the way. So he says, I value and use things that are old. I can recycle things and reuse them. That's what my grandma and my teacher and my ma and my grandpa and so many people told. So I have learned to value even books that are worn out and really old. I can cut out pictures and make pop-up books with outlines bold. I value music and I love to sing. I must learn to love music and I must learn how to sing because I have to spread happy tunes. Wherever I am, whether I am at home, whether I am in my neighborhood, whether I am in the market, in the forest, or on the sand dunes. So happy tunes everywhere. When I talk to my family and my friends, that's what Pan says. When I talk to my family and my friends, suddenly all my fear ends. So a lot of talking, a lot of chatting, a lot of communication. I must learn how to do small chores. I must learn how to do small chores on my own. Only then will I grow to be a good citizen when I have grown, and then so many things I will do right. So many things I will do right. I will do everything I can for my country with all my might. I must be able to play with my friends together and we can win or lose. It's only then when I grow up, I learn to work in a team, and my team over me, I will always choose. Trees are the best, that's what I know. Trees are the best, that's what I know. We have to keep them safe and let them happily grow. They will bring fresh air to breathe, and we can grow them from just a small seed. I have learned that breathing and balancing is important too. Yoga belongs to our country and is not something new. So we must live in harmony. We must breathe and we must live in harmony with nature and people too. That is how we will have a happy country, a happy home, a happy world, a happy community, and problems few. So this is what Pan has learned in the last few days of interacting with all the wonderful people and learning. So I think so important for communities to nurture a sense of responsibility, and we are seeing two kinds of reactions and community values, and you'll see that one side you find extremely responsible, caring, wonderful individuals. And on the other side, we also are seeing an intense amount of carelessness. So, what changes this value system in people? What so as we are growing children, what is it that we as a community can grow and do to instill some basic values in the gen next? Somewhere we definitely have concentrated on academic curriculum so much that today we are bearing the brunt of a lot of it. So academic curriculum is good. It's an important part of growth, literacy, numeracy. But much before that, or with that, I would say, we must nurture a lot of small, simple values, which perhaps would help us in the long run. So it's very interesting. In a couple of years back, I was taking a workshop, and we had a workshop for both parents and grandparents together. We said that whoever is taking care of the children, you're most welcome, and please join us. And so a lot of parents came in, and I've been doing this for the last many years. And each time I do a session like this, I we talk about curriculum, we talk about what is important for children, and then I tell them, okay, I'd like you to list out all the things you want to see in your child when your child is an adult. Very surprisingly, I will give you a list of things that I have come across in the last 32 years of my working. We would want our children to be respectful, kind, loving, loyal, friendly, unselfish, logical thinker, creative thinker, must enjoy music, must play instruments, should enjoy sports, should be imaginative, a good listener, curious. Some said spiritual, somebody said who would love nature. There was some very intelligent person who also said must have a money sense. My child must know how to spend the money, not just that everything just comes out of, dad's purse, but a money sense. I found that a really interesting thing. A good mixer, they meant that child should be social. So I've just taken it down exactly how they've written it. A good personality, healthy, unspoilt, courageous, self-reliant, self-disciplined, a fluent speaker, dependable, makes people feel happy. And I smiled at them and I said, but look at the amount of pressure you put on schools if they don't give you a writing homework every day. So look at the stress you will put on cursive writing, how you will just ignore activities that, actually have a significance to growing a skill in a child. And imagine in my 30 years and almost 20 years of intensive interaction with parents and teachers, I have never ever had a slip that says professional qualification. They all give you these skills. So how do you grow them? It's so interesting that you want the child to be self confident, self reliant, and you do everything for the child. I mean, how many parents really allow children to be an active part? So when we were off, the day-to-day working, how many times we just very recently did a webinar on the exercises of practical life. There is reason for it. Because if we want self-reliant adults, we want responsible adults, we want adults that are mindful, that respect people around them, that respect the helpers all around them, people. How is that going to happen if you don't let this child grow the basic skill of doing simple things on their own? So that is a very important part. So if we want a value, we want a skill, a thought in a child, we can't do counterproductive things and expect that value system to be ingrained. It just doesn't work. So if you want your child to be spiritual, then you have to expose the child in whatever way, to nature, to a thought, to a few minutes of silence. You remember we did a program, we also did one on yoga, and they used the word sthir. Sthir doesn't mean not moving, it means to be. So these are important things that will help children to grow a value system. How do communities build this value? Because everything around you is going to help you to build a value system. Your school, your home, your neighbors, the people who come home to help you, the way a shopkeeper talks to you, the whole community adds to this particular way to build, a whole value system around us. And I think in this last few days, most of us have spoken about an eroding value system. Also, such beautiful values have emerged in people. So, both things we are looking at, but we need to now create a very conscious community that says that yes, these are the values we need to, actually share. We need to be actually giving this environment to the children, right? So, I'm very quickly going to read through a whole lot of values. What are the values that we actually need? And then each one of us sits down and thinks, how is it that I can make this a part of my life and a part of the life of the child? Nothing is going to be overnight. It's going to take its time, it's going to take its processing. So, the personal values. A few days back, I was speaking to somebody on one of these digital media talks, and I was telling them that, do you realize we have all lost a routine? If you ask someone to switch on the video, they don't want to, because there is a whole process that's going wrong. This whole thing of the way we are for the next 1 year is going to make a big impact on these little children. So if you want the children to have a routine, wake up, dress up, you have to do the same. You can't be walking around in your pajamas and tell the children to dress up. The same. So the teachers have started. I have such an effort I'm seeing in teachers. Every day there's a process, and we are asking even a day-to-day life to be like that. That if you want something, you have to be. So cleanliness, dignity of labor, making the child understand that it's important, like I just said, so they have to be doing things on their own. Diligence, punctuality. Now, these are things which you can do on a regular basis to help children get that value. A minute late is a minute late. You can't say it's only a minute late. So, without being harsh, I think there can be a processing which would help a child to ingrain a certain amount of value system as a community. Honesty. Uh, we saw during this time, and we've been seeing in the last so many years, it's um, It's becoming so difficult to rate it, right? So there are people who take so much advantage of the situations, the whole way the country is going. So it's very important that honesty in the smallest of things. You can't say this is okay and this is not okay. So if it's not okay, it's not okay for nobody at no point of time. So don't make it what is, just practical for you. If it works today, it works. It doesn't work tomorrow. So we need to let that happen. And very, very important is fortitude. If we see the family, the environment, the neighbors, the grandparents, everybody kind of just not being able to cope with it, that is not going to be a part so easily of the child. Maybe as an adult, the child will grow certain features, certain values on their own. But can we make it better by making our attitudes like that? So it's important to do that. Self reliance, ambition, excellence, hope, research. Research is my favorite. Unless we teach children to minor detail, unless from the beginning we tell them, let's get to do this from scratch, lay foundations. I have seen children in the last couple of years when I've been growing my own child. Some people will never begin a process without adequate research. And some people will just get there and start working without a background. So each thing has to, it is a very, very nice value system to have. And it can be done in a community. When you have community and you have people saying, oh, let's think about this, let's get this right, all around us, then it works. Look at the way we are messaging these days without a thought, without any research. Is this correct? Do you think this will work? Somebody sends us and we forward it. So research as an attitude is so important, because if this is not there in us as individuals, it's going to create, and it is creating so much of chaos. So allow that basic structure and basic research to come into the way the children grow and learn and just process themselves. So allow them to see you researching, allow them to see you looking deeply at things and saying, oh, I need to check this, can I check this out? And very important part about research is accepting that you don't know a thing. So I was just talking to this wonderful young team of the Square Panda, and I said, "Oh my God, I used to do up these little structures behind. I used to put up the my posters and the hands-on resources." So they said, "Ma'am, you like to do it that way, but now that you're going to change, we'll help you to do it this way." So, and I took a long time to actually learn how to manipulate, research. Can I get this right? Will the communication be comfortable for me? And that's how a little changeover. The smallest things we do, you need to research it if you don't know it. So accept the fact that you don't know it and research it, evaluate it. After getting resources, getting information, you see today there is an explosion of information. Unless we learn the basic value of evaluation, how much do I need? Do we need this or not? Otherwise, everything just goes all over the place. So these are small things, but they are important skills, important values for us to actually grow in children. Neighborly values, my God, at such an important point, at this point when you're talking of neighborly values, I think there has been so much of discomfort, so much of pain all around us, that I think that's added. So there was this lovely photograph of a mother making a child write "Khush raho," be happy, on little food packets, which maybe she delivers just a few a day, but she makes the child write on it. So what will this child learn? What will he imbibe in the long run? That this is doable. My mom's doing it, rather than, so it is such a beautiful gesture. And I found that it was such a touching picture. So sometimes, as I also saw a comment saying, oh, big deal, why on social media? Because maybe it will just inspire a lot of people to, do smaller things and set in a value system with the simplest of resources and things. Another very important thing, so, patience. courtesy, simple courtesies, when you're going up and down lifts, wishing people. I think we've just not, earlier people used to live in these communities of maybe villages of, everybody on the ground floor. There used to be these lanes. Everyone knew everybody, right from the shopkeeper to the person who did your groceries. Everyone knew you, and there was 2 minutes of conversation. Today, also, when you go to the smaller towns, you'll see two people driving past, they'll stop their scooters or bikes and then talk. So I think just courtesy, simple courtesy of making eye contact, wishing everybody just a good evening, it matters as a deep value in life. Uh, Another important thing is tolerance. I think our ability of tolerance is going down so much. So, as a community of adults, it is how tolerant. Tolerant doesn't mean that you spoil children. It means that you have to accept the differences and be in acceptance of it. This is something we'll be soon talking about in detail after another few webinars. But tolerance is just not there. Courtesy going down, thrift, magnanimity, saying, no, you take it, please. I don't need it so much. Not happening so much. So, what do we do for all of this? So, if we keep these values in mind, if we keep these thoughts in mind, we will consciously start looking at activities which will bring in this value system for children. When we interact, I have a grown-up daughter, but when I interact with people with young children, I always tell them that when we plan to invite children into our home, we have to plan the evening around the children, not call children home into a social community and put them in front of the television and just do your own stuff, because this child will learn. This child will definitely learn that this does not work, right? So it's important that whenever we are interacting with children, it's very, very important for us to understand that we have to plan a community evening for them in their way. We have to play a few games with them. We may be and it helps for children to interact with adults who are focusing on them, asking them about their things, not just, have a soft drink, have a packet of chips, and you can watch TV. Don't do that. Because this community of different kinds of adults, besides their home, their parents, and if that community is interacting with the children, it will also help the children interact with a different kind of a family, look at different people, understand that people live differently. So this little thing is something which, especially in this time, small interactions with safe people who are not really going out too much or going out into an unsafe zone. Uh, Once things settle down and the children really can't get back to school, this is going to be a very important thing. After there is a safer period, adults must take turns to actually create this time for children and give them that acceptance of that somebody gives us this time. So we must think about ways to do this, because in the next few months, this is going to be a very, very important requirement. Definitely going to be a very important need. Now, the community value on the whole. So we talked about the personal values, we talked about the neighborly values. We now need to talk about the community on the whole. So the first one that I see written here is brotherhood. That we need to create this. So how does a child learn this? This little child who's with us, how does this child learn this? So like I said, also now the chances to play, share, all these are going to get restricted for some time. So maybe we have to think of things that will expose children to what people are doing, maybe tell them stories of people, consciously allow them to explore, stories maybe from the newspaper or from the, from the internet. Just talk to to them about it, because this next few months is going to be a little difficult. But in the long run, we can create situations like this where they, the belonging. This is my class, my school, my community. That's the reason why we are worried about that gap that's going to come in the social thoughts and the development and the value system of the children, because it's all very closed and it's all becoming more and more screen oriented. While it's good to have screen time, but it's going to give us, so how do these values and develop, right? So think about it. It's important. If you can think of solutions, you can think of better processes, we would love to hear from you. Um, Team spirit, responsibility, accountability, I think that needs to come like on the top. So sometimes children will do a thing and you will say, koi baat nahi, it doesn't matter. So why that koi baat nahi? You don't need to be harsh with the child, but let the children be accountable for what they have done. Don't quickly clean up for them. Don't just be calm and allow the child to take responsibility and accountability of small actions. You take accountability for your own actions. And it works wonders. I do see a lot of young adults who are so responsible. But there will be some people who just will not take any accountability for whatever they do. Even very much older people won't do that. So it's wonderful. In classrooms, I should tell children, suppose you found a glue, a bottle tipped over, or paintbrushes lying all around. So I would just walk in and say, sir, could you please tell me that who's handled this? And I wouldn't say, they would walk up and say, we just clean it up. And that accountability is so important. If something has gone wrong, to accept it. Otherwise, how does this community become accountable? So the smallest of actions allow the children to be accountable. It's so important you be accountable for whatever good, bad that you do, right? And I think a very important part about it is also, hospitality. The whole concept of being more hospitable. There are a lot of instances that I hear these days of even, people who come in not even being given a glass of water. Even in these circumstances, a bottle and a glass of water can be easily left at your doorstep. So if your child is going to see you doing all of this, automatically the child learns. In fact, a few days back, we've got grown-up children. So suddenly I get a message saying that I think I'm becoming like you. So that is what happens, that when you're growing children as a community, like they say, it takes a village to bring up a child. So it's that community that is needed to bring up these children well. And in these circumstances, safe interaction, in the sense that after, this whole spurt finishes, in between, there was a lot of times when I was watching children just not having anything to do. So what's going to happen to them as value system? So maybe if adults pitch in, maybe if we create small communities around where we can keep children at a distance, keep them safe, interact with them, tell them stories, do things with them, it will make a difference. 100% it will make a big difference. So also what I thought that today we must connect what we have done so far, because it's a year and it's been a very precious year. So I thought from the beginning, suppose I say why we picked up certain topics and what kind of values are they going to help the children learn. So you can make a note of it. Today, the team has got us an interesting, worksheet for a list of values. So I'll very quickly show you this worksheet, which can be downloaded. So this is the worksheet, communities and life skills. And you can fill in, maybe the different skills that a community can help build in children. So please don't forget to download this and use this. So what the Spare Panda team also does is they have this whole storehouse of beautiful activity sheets for each one of us. So take them down, and use them, because it's so important to do that. So, we started with a program on mums, and we talked about what all the mums do for them, the parents do for them. Then, so the children, just to help children and to help tell the mothers, take a little time off, allow children to do things on their own, and create a little value system for not taking things for granted. Right? So it's very important. Turning your home into learning spaces so that they value each corner of the home. They realize that within the home you can create this very, very peaceful time. In fact, when they are homes where there are not many rooms, we call them magical homes. We said at night they become bedrooms, in the morning they become sitting room. When we eat our food, they become the dining space. In the corner, when you put your little cushion and sit down and read, it becomes your little reading corner. When you so create that little wonder of spaces. The next one we did was developing listening and speaking skills, and there were three very important things that were told in that. That when you're talking to children, you know why I'm talking about each way that we can build basic value systems as a community of adults. It could be anywhere. So, uh, very important is eye contact, sustained eye contact, extended eye contact. So, with these three things, it's very nice to be able to get this to the children, and for that, you have to make eye contact with the children. When you make eye contact and talk to people, it makes a big, big difference. So your eyes are looking at the person, and you can actually see expression, you can see sorrow, you can see, allow that to become a part of even this digital world. Even when you're taking your webinars, your sessions, so reduce your PowerPoints and increase the eye contact with people. I think it makes a difference when people see what you are thinking because your eyes reflect it. It's a very, very important skill. It's a very important value system that when you're talking to me, you're going to people's office, you're talking to them and they're typing on the laptop. Really? Is that a nice value system to have? We always said that, put your laptop down or look up and talk. So imagine this person just doesn't realize it. Maybe there's an employee sitting there, trying to say something very, very emotional, and that person is typing on the laptop. It doesn't work and it's not a nice value system to have. So allow eye contact to become a routine part of your your normal processes, and these days especially so. So I, because of the COVID, my throat gets tired. So give me 1 minute to just, I think that has been the only result, thing till now, that the voice gets very, very tired. Another very important thing we did was don't just allow children to smile, but grow happy attitudes, gratefulness, thankfulness, a happy attitude. Come what may, in even very difficult situations. Of course, when things are absolutely harrowing around you, it's different. But for smaller things and attitude building, a happy attitude value system is very, very important. Oh, this is my favorite. Art and value. So when you share and tell the children how to work with art, you teach them how to mix things. You teach them how to change, surfaces. You teach them how to express. So a certain amount of happy, peaceful systems come into the child, and they start valuing the smallest things. For example, if you have to, you suppose you do needlework, right? And you're doing your needlework, and at the end of a flower that you're making, you fall short of the thread. It could be 3 inches of thread, but you'll say, oh my God. So as art, as painting, as creativity, as singing, a singing note going wrong will spoil the song. So the child learns that smaller things in art have deep value. So in the longer run, perhaps the child will learn how to value smaller things. I am hoping that everything like this we do with children as a community will help the children to develop some special value and themselves. So that's what my thought and is about growing children. Uh, Another very beautiful one was Gungunati Kahaniya. We did this beautiful singing tales. Please try that with your children. Sometimes when you don't have, I mean, sometimes you have to be corrective and you don't want to, you're going to tell them something which perhaps would upset them. Sing it out for them. Make a small little snippet of a thing and tell it them in two lines. So, what is this that I have seen? And then, can you please, keep your room clean? So imagine it'll just make the whole thing of why haven't you kept your room clean? And they will understand that there is a better way to say things. So we don't realize that. So sometimes it's important to create that value system, that things which are not very pleasant can be said in a more pleasant way. It's a very important value, and team leaders would understand that. Sometimes there are correctives that need to be done. That so you can just be gentle about it. There is no need to be very be firm, but you don't have to be rude about it. So I think that's very important. And I've been seeing this during this whole time is that I've seen families collapse, I've been seeing adults collapse, and I've been seeing so much of nastiness on the other side of the screen. Why? What a value system is this? That at a time when everybody is down, the heads are not able to create a value system of sympathy. So please understand this. This small thing like a Gungunati Kahaniya is an indication that you can say things in a better way. That's the value we were looking at. It was not just a Gungunati Kahaniya, right? Another lovely thing that we had done was nurturing the love for books. That's what I said, that you learn how to hold them. And one was very interesting was building responsible citizens. Even like the person who came to speak on our show was a young girl who has khana for chidiya. She makes these little houses for birds, and with her came a very decorated soldier. So when we talk to them, now what is it that we expect these people of the community to do for our children? We want them to inspire them. We want them to feel that a small gesture can become a movement. That is why we have thought of different people, not just teachers, not just people who are teaching early years, but people who can help us understand and influence these little children to develop a good set of strong set of values that will really be needed in the world, where you can actually allow this whole process to. So, and when we now talked about very recently, all of us have been talking about the new education policy, and it says all of this. It says create a value system in children through activities, through play, through interaction, through sitting, simplest of things. Keep your education system uncomplicated. So it is beautiful. These days you have a lot of coding. So what I see of coding is a sequence. So gradually I teach my children to work in a particular order. It's a wonderful thing to do, to learn how to start at a particular point and take the correct processes forward. So that's a very important thing to do. And another thing very important for us is to understand that different domains, different kinds of learning styles will have to be taken care of if we want those children to respond and create a value system. Because if these children feel accepted, if these children feel that this community of people, adults around me, are able to understand that this is how I want to learn. It's as simple as that. But then the child understands that I am being understood. Will this child make a little more attempt to understand others? Think about it. If I understand the child better, the child will perhaps make this little effort too. And like there's this whole thing that if I had to bring up my child all over again, what are the changes that I would make to create this value system? When I talk about children and creating and building values as a community, as I was growing my daughter, Anybody who was like an achiever means not somebody who's just getting great marks, but anybody who came, my husband's in the army, so anybody who came back from, maybe a field station, I would always want my daughter to meet them. I would, when we were staying very close to the border, I would take her to see the soldiers going to, for their every day in the evening, taking all their water bottles and going for their march. And I would make her watch it every day. I would take her, and ask her. And slowly she started communicating with them. The next day she started going and waiting for them to come. And then I would say that, they go and they stand on guard and they take care of us. So if she was 2.5, but I never looked at her and said, oh, this is not required at this stage. No, talk to them, tell them simple things, don't hide things from them, because it's this whole world around them that's going to make them understand and grow a value system consciously, unconsciously, in the subconscious mind. But do this, tell them, make them meet people. Because the community, I think for me in the last few days, the inspiring stories are what I'm looking at. There is so much happening all around us, but I'm just looking at the inspiring stories, and that's what is making me start my next day. So I'm understanding that, oh my God, look at the value systems people have. Look at what they're sharing. Look at how they care. Look at the way people are going out of the way. So definitely, even as an adult, my value system, my thought processes are changing each day that I'm seeing this wonderful, wonderful community at work. So why will this not influence the little child? It will for sure. So grow a good community of adults, responsible, caring, and then after 20 years, we can't really say that, why is the world like this? Because either we'll make it a better place for the children, or we will again question it. So grow this community, grow the values, grow the systems, and we'll see you back next week. Thank you for these 52 wonderful, wonderful weeks. We deeply appreciate it, we value it, and we would really, really want you to send us inputs on what else we can do, how we can share, and just make this world a better place. Great value systems, a great community, and thank you so, so very much for helping us build this beautiful community together. So thank you, and see you all next week. We are still going to plan what we want to take forward. We are going to think of a section with language. Then we would take a little section, because we did a lot on, the social emotional development, positivity. But I'm thinking maybe we'll do a whole segment on language development starting from perhaps next week. So we are going to figure this out and bring you something interesting. And we hope that our next 52 weeks is going to be just as beautiful and as interesting. So happy value building, and may the community just be happier. Thank you. Thank you, Sejal. All right, so Sejal has decided not to see log us off. All right. So thank you all, and see you all next week. Bye bye.
Square, square, panda.